Nothing Wrong with Orange and Blue Podcast.
NRW crew!
Guess who's back again? Get. Dark Knight's back. What's up, yo? I miss you guys. It's been a long
Hey,
2 weeks.
Pookie, calm down. Pookie,
I intentionally
calm down.
said Dark Knight. Gosh.
I know you did, and I intentionally, you're never gonna lose the nickname Pookie. Not ever.
I thought a 2-week break would get me away from that.
Not even a chance. Okay, you made the mistake of letting us know you hate the name Pookie, and dude, you should have known. You should have known that
my inner secrets out, and that was a mistake. I apologize. I'll never open up to you again.
Really? That's totally not true. You're my best friend, and so no, there's not a chance of that happening. Anyway, hey, what's up, Broncos country? What's up, NRW crew? Welcome to another awesome episode of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue Podcast on MHRT Podcasts. My name is Johnny Baki. I'm your host, and with me, as always, that way is my best friend in the world, Isaiah Henderson. All right.
What's good, yo? I miss you guys more than you guys know. I'm glad to be back. So much is going on. We're gonna get into it. Just glad to be back.
Oh man.
So we want to hear from you. Hey, we want to hear from you.
That's right. We are a fan-based Broncos podcast that goes live every Sunday on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. All right. We go live every Sunday at 6, 5, 4, and 3. All right. You put them where they go. Learn your time zones. Okay. Stay tuned for a little bit because soon there will actually be a slight change to that, to our schedule. But we're waiting for some more news before that becomes a thing. So that being said, it is awesome to have you guys with us. We are ready to jump right into it. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, make sure you guys give us a follow, like, subscribe, share, subscribe, because we are on that quest. For 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, guys. Help us out here, because the best way to support a growing channel, the best way to support us and help us get out there to other like-minded, awesome Broncos fans is to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live, and share it to your friends, okay? You can see it up there above us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. MHRT Podcasts, guys. Get on it. Help your friends realize that they want to be part of the NRW crew, and they just don't know it yet. All right?
They just don't know it yet.
They just don't know yet. So now we're gonna go ahead and get out of all that because we have a very special guest tonight. We've been doing a lot of this. We've been having some really cool guests lately, and it's been a whole lot of fun. So if you guys would please help me welcome our special guest. He is the host of the Mainly Broncos podcast and a writer for Predominantly Orange. If you will please join me in welcoming Mr. Cameron Parker.
What is up, everybody? What is up?
Cam, it's awesome to have you on the show, buddy.
Man, it feels almost surreal to be on the Nothing Rhymes podcast. The large part of the MHRT podcast team. So just to even be a part of it, I don't know. You tell me. I feel like just a guy here. You guys are the superstars.
What are you talking about, man? We've existed for 6 months. I've been reading your stuff for years. Like either way, you know what? We are honored to have you on. We are honored to have you on, Cam. This is awesome. We can't wait to get down to brass tacks and talk Broncos. We've already got a bunch in the chat. We got our boy Dave Full Glassman. We got Mobad in the house, Muhammad Badri. We got EJ. We got we got Mr. Boggins, who's on his 6-state road trip, currently crossing the country. He's in Idaho. Bring me back a potato, bro.
I think I did a 2 or 3 state road trip last week, so I'm nothing near that. So be safe.
We both did, remember?
Glad you can check in. Oh, yeah. We both went on road trips at the same time.
In fact, I tried to do the pod. Yeah. I tried to do the podcast while on the road. We tried to do a mobile version. It went okay, but there was definitely some moments where the trees played havoc with my signal, and I kept dropping out, so it wasn't as crazy. Mo Bad says the Dark Knight better be here. Jerry Holland on Facebook in the house.
I would
says,
never let you.
Mile High Five.
Jerry Holland. Is that a new name, Johnny?
It's a new name. It's a new name we haven't seen before.
Jerry.
So Jerry,
welcome. And he comes in with the trademarked Mile High Five. That's what I'm talking about, Jerry.
That's right. We're very excited that EJ says today he's got his Crown and Coke. He's not doing White Russians this week. So let's see. My cousin Jay is in the house.
That's what I'm
what up, players?
That's what I'm talking about.
Denver. We got Denver Gator as well. What's up, my Broncos peep? Football is back. This team is stacked and ready to go. Dude,
is that another new name?
It's so who? Denver Gator or Robert
Denver
Roybal,
Gator is that
who
a new
just
name?
Jumped in saying no, he's been in once before, I believe. Robert Roybal was on last week on our mobile version. Happy Sunday, Broncos country. What's up, Robert?
Happy Sunday. Welcome, Robert. It's my first time, Denver Gators. First time seeing you guys, so welcome. I didn't get to see you guys over the last couple of weeks.
Let's get to it. You were too busy playing your own version of football, doing your own hut hikes on your honeymoon.
And I was under center, baby.
I'm just
hey, Cameron,
saying.
we got somebody talking about your microphone, which I meant to mention earlier. That is a huge microphone.
It is literally one of the I guess one of the better microphones that's on the market. It's the Shure SM-B7, I believe. But
it sounds good though.
It sounds good
though.
Yeah, it makes my voice for not like my friend Cody that makes him sound like Adam Schefter, but it's
Wait, do they make microphones where you can?
No.
It's you already know where I was going.
It's just that for Cody's sake, he just sounds so much like Adam Schefter. So I mean,
Cody Rourke. Cody Rourke sounds so much like Adam Schefter. It's not even funny.
It is
like every time I listen to Cody's podcast or something like that while I'm driving, so I'm listening to it like on Google Podcasts or something like that. And there's no video and I can't see Cody. All I can think is like, I swear, I hear it and I'm like, oh, it's Adam Schefter. No, it's not.
Yeah.
So we got a sick ass foo in the house saying nice.
Is that a new name?
Mobad says like the video, everyone. So please, guys, listen to the man. Listen to the man. He said it. Do it. All right. He has authority. So Cameron, tell us a little bit about you because we've never actually met you in person. So we know, mainly Broncos. What's it all? What's mainly Broncos all about?
Mainly Broncos. Our goal is to, in a lot of ways, to take off some of what you guys have been doing with the Fan Base Podcast. It's this way of taking a fan base podcast and in some ways making it professional, but also in a lot of ways very fun and very, very fun and to have a lot of guests come in and just really enjoy themselves. I think one of the things that back even when I had started like a Cameron Parker Show podcast or anything of that nature, my goal every single time in this podcast venture, if you will, is to always make it conversational. To always make sure that we enjoy each other's company, and enjoy the fact that we get to talk, whether that's Denver sports, whether that's the Denver Broncos, the fact that we are here like-minded and we get a chance to talk about the Denver Broncos. And if we get the opportunity to get, a few big names along the way, boy, I mean, we're going to all soak it in and provide the best content as we can as possible. And a huge shout out to all of our listeners for that, mainly Broncos podcast that have really helped grow us in just a short amount of time for about a year. So
for sure,
we're about a year old. So I mean, we're a pup. We're a pup, basically. So the fact that we've been able to see so much growth.
Speaking of listeners, Cameron, how can people find you? Where can people watch Mainly Orange? What's the username?
That's Mainly Broncos. Get it right.
I like it.
Mainly,
though.
I'm sorry.
I like it though.
Put them together. I'm sorry. Mainly Broncos. Where can be listeners find Mainly Broncos?
Basically everywhere. You guys can listen to Mainly Broncos podcast over on Spotify, over on iHeartRadio, on the Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. And we just found, and I just found out we're within the last week or so. You guys can listen to us on Amazon Music. So,
oh wow, fantastic!
So you guys
Nice,
can listen
nice.
to us over there, and yeah, so we are we're doing a lot of really good things over in Mainly, and huge thank you again to Dalton for being a part of our podcast, and
Dude.
Ryan Leaf in the past 2-3 weeks. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been great.
Oh wow,
it's awesome. I checked them out. They were awesome, dude. They were sick.
So it's Mainly Broncos, MAN, as in the mane of a horse. That's an awesome name.
Yes.
I'll say it again, MANELY Broncos. Go check them out. Give them a listen. Other like-minded Broncos family, Broncos country. So check them out. Listen, subscribe, like, share. They're awesome.
And you guys can also follow you guys can also follow the Twitter handle that we have for the show at Mainly Broncos as well.
Okay, and you write for Predominantly Orange. You write articles for Predominantly Orange.
Yep,
that's pretty wicked, dude.
Yeah,
that's pretty wicked.
I've been writing at Predominantly Orange since 2016, since the Denver Broncos decided to win a Super Bowl. That we still are hoping to see here at some point. But that was when I jumped onto the scene over at Predominantly Orange, and I reached out to Sayer, and Sayer was so gracious enough to have me on board, and ever since then, in a lot of ways, it just feels so much similar to Mainly and just the whole Broncos podcast community. It's just been a whole family vibe over there at Predominantly Orange. So we've got a lot of great things even too happening with Predominantly Orange. I mean, we just hired within the last month or two. We just hired Patrick Chiotti over on as a writer over at PO, one of my good friends, Pat. So yeah, things are moving in the right direction, and of course, Sayer. Speaking of Sayer, huge congratulations to him for hopping on the Locked On Broncos podcast. It's a huge exposure for him, just being a part of the Locked On Broncos family, getting the chance to see him be a part of that and the Locked On network. It's going to be good for him. So seeing that type of exposure is going to be phenomenal for him. So, but just to be a part of the Predominantly Orange team has been absolutely surreal.
That's fantastic. And like I said, I've been reading your stuff.
We're excited
for
to have
years.
your
so
we're excited to have your expertise and your insight today. And this is for Dave Glassman. No, it's not Stella. They didn't have Corona today, so I got Michelob Ultra.
Hold on, I got to throw up.
That's what I'm dealing with.
Oh.
Yeah, he'll be back. So, Cameron, we got questions for you right off the bat. You know what the question is.
It hasn't even. So it begins, right? Your thoughts on Locke versus Teddy.
EJ couldn't even let you finish your introduction before he came off the top. So, EJ, we love it. Thank you. Cameron, this is for you. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, that is the question, right? I mean, like that is the driving question that is going to be in Broncos camp. It's going to be the driving question really ever since Teddy came in here. It's really the driving question ever since, Locke finished the season, really. But no, I think it's going to be a really exciting discussion. I mean, Teddy certainly did not have the greatest day yesterday.
No, from what I can see, he actually had a pretty bad day yesterday.
Well, and from everything that in talking with Albright yesterday, it sounds like their basic goal was to feature Teddy yesterday, and he failed.
And 3 interceptions.
So I mean, it was pretty bad. So, but overall, though, one of the things that I touched on the Mainly Broncos is that, if Teddy can come in and just not necessarily be the guy, and you can actually attribute this to both Drew and Teddy. If they can just come in and believe that they don't necessarily have to be the guy, like the focal point of this offense, then both of them could do pretty good as far as in this offense. Because once again, you have so many different playmakers. You have a running game that the Broncos offense could end up featuring that will benefit both of them. And frankly, for Teddy's sake, I mean, maybe the dink and dunk stuff could work, I guess, with some of these playmakers, right? Because I mean, like you could feed it off to Jerry Jeudy on a screen, or or Noah Fant on just a really short pass, or just even a swing pass, even to
a
guys
short
like
slant
Melvin,
route,
or guys like Melvin Gordon or Javonte Williams who are more than capable of running backs that can pass catch and stuff like that. So I think that it's just a matter of what separates these two as far as the big play goes, and it's really going to end up being a matter of consistency, and
right.
And as of so far, it seems like Drew has been the most consistent between the two of them, at least when it comes to the big
I mean, I believe from what I watched, because I've tried to watch as much on training camp as I can. I mean, obviously I have a day job that I
know the
that I have to work.
Lies.
And so
Lies.
yeah, okay, just shut. You mean I got to give all this up?
That's a box.
Fine. No, I'm just kidding. That's not happening. You're out of your mind. I have a beautiful house. It's a castle, and I'm the king, and you lose. Anyway, so from what I've been able to tell and what I've seen over the past several days is that, I felt like Drew won by a hair on day one.
Yeah.
If there was a competition. And then Teddy definitely won day two. Day two was trash for Locke.
Mm-hmm.
And day three was Locke again, but only by a hair again. And then he won. I think I kind of would like to say, he did make some pretty impressive throws yesterday, but I'd say probably the reason he won yesterday was because Teddy played so poorly.
Well, he threw a 40-yard touchdown off the seam, off the sideline to Cortland Sutton. So he did have a touchdown, no interceptions. Andrew Mason reported that only 3 passes dropped touched the ground, and 2 of them were drops. So I think day 4 was. Day 4, Drew Lock created separation, because I remember going out of day 3, people were like, "Oh, I see the pattern. I'm assuming day 4 is going to go to Teddy," and then Drew Lock took day 4, so he created separation, but not separation to get comfortable. I mean, so say we give him day 4, he's up. Let's say he's up 3-1. That is separation, but in no way, shape, or form, idea or whatever, should he get comfortable. And if this is a true competition, Drew, keep the foot on the gas. Teddy, speed up.
Yeah, and let's be completely honest, though. I mean, the decision for who will be starter will not be named. Here in Broncos camp, like it won't be.
Oh, heck no!
It's all going to be determined based on the preseason games, and frankly, my best guess for what we would do as far as the starter, who the starter will probably be after the second preseason game. So like everything that unless there's like now granted, Russell Wilson, just overplayed Matt Flynn and
yes,
really
he did.
and really solidified himself, as the starter for Seattle. So I'm not expecting that per se. And we're talking about different scenarios where
that's like 1 in a million. That just doesn't happen.
Right.
And
so I would imagine that if you are looking at a scenario to where whoever solidifies himself, like by sure happenstance, if Locke continues to really separate himself all throughout camp, you might as well just name a starter at that particular point.
Right.
But again, you're all talking about like, him just completely balling out all throughout camp and really just outperforming Teddy, which he should do. But you're
right. He should.
About,
and it's what we would hope for him to do too, right? I mean, he is the incumbent. It's the great. If he succeeds, it's the greatest upside for the Broncos.
Right.
Yes. Very.
So
because again, we're talking about a team that, frankly, and I'll just be blunt. Even if Locke still takes those strides and the Broncos still have an opportunity to get, I'll use those 2 words, Aaron Rodgers next year. I'm still not going to hate the idea to go get Aaron Rodgers, but for the sake of like Drew Lock's development and the fact that he took those strides, he did great. It's the best thing for your franchise. You have an in-house you have an in-house quarterback that can come in and be the guy that you can pay the maybe not the Patrick Mahomes money, but the franchise quarterback type money to. That's your in-house guy. It's the best of both worlds for the Broncos and George Payton and Vic Fangio and everybody and all the parties involved.
Well, and as far as the team's weapons go, I mean, I quoted watching training camp live yesterday. I quoted James Palmer when he was talking to Alexis Perry. I quoted him on Twitter. as saying, you know, when he told her the more teams I talk to, if the Broncos have a franchise quarterback, and I don't know if either one of these guys can be that, this is not just a playoff team, but a Super Bowl contending roster.
I agree.
And I tend to agree with him.
Yes.
Like, and again, you said franchise quarterback. It doesn't mean that he's got to be, you know, Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't mean he's got to be Russell Wilson. It doesn't mean he's got to be not Deshaun Hamilton. Good Lord. Deshaun Watson. Wow. I'm so sorry, Broncos fans. That was just a plain, ooh.
Man.
I'll say this, doesn't mean he has to be Deshaun Watson.
I was gonna say if you say Deshaun Hamilton and you meant Deshaun Watson, I'll say this. That's actually praise for Deshaun Hamilton.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a step
so.
up.
I mean,
we have
if he steps up and becomes a franchise quarterback, even if he's not a top 5 quarterback, if he's franchise caliber, we could contend. I agree with James Palmer. We could contend Super Bowl.
Well,
I agree.
And yeah, exactly. And that's been the driving theme with the Broncos for at least, I would say, the last few years. Because, I mean, you're talking about a defense, especially now, especially this year, you're talking about a defense that is, for all intents and purposes, on paper, challenging the 2015 defense that the Broncos had in the Super Bowl. And you're talking, and then now you're starting to talk about the playmakers. You're starting to talk about the offensive playmakers, which for that particular 2015 year, the Broncos never had. So you're talking about a duo that is going to end up trumping or could be trumping, the Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas era.
Hot take, Johnny. Hot take.
Sorry.
Hot take.
There it is.
Cameron just came in with the hot take, guys. In the comments, agree or disagree. Who's the better duo, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, or Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton? You heard the hot take first here on
It's all about projection.
Orange and blue.
It's projection.
I'm walking back, Cameron. You stick your ground and you stand.
No, that's why I'm saying it. It's all about projection. I'm actually projecting that duo will be better than Emmanuel.
It's going to be a wicked duo.
There it is.
I mean,
there it is.
It's going to be amazing.
Now, and then I'll take a step further. If KJ Hamler ends up performing and he's having a great camp,
yes, he is.
Then
say it, Cameron. Say it.
Then, frankly, that trio will be better than Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, Wes Welker. I mean, the entire offense that they had in 2012 is based solely off of playmakers.
Hit the button, Johnny. That's a hot take.
That's not a hot take.
So,
I wish I could say it was a hot take, but it's not.
You think
That's
so?
not
The duo was a hot take, but the trio's not a hot take.
So, no, I mean,
well, that year. Well, interesting you say that, Cameron, because that year, Peyton Manning broke all the quarterback records.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So is Drew Lock going to break all the quarterback?
No, I mean,
I'm a Drew Lock fan. I just couldn't finish that.
Look, that's adorable.
If all the Pistons are firing, then yes, but
I mean, how shocked would the NFL and Broncos country be if Drew Lock threw 45 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 4,000 plus yards?
Probably the Drew Lock fan base would not be surprised, but the Drew Lock hater crowd,
the haters,
the Drew Lock hater crowd would probably be
losing their minds,
probably scratching their head and wondering, "Wow, we really aren't going to get Aaron Rodgers next year."
Exactly.
That's funny.
All right, so, I want
to go ahead. Johnny.
I want to hit some. I just want to hit some comments because we're getting a little
Lonnie
behind
Dugan.
on
Is that a new name for you, Johnny?
That's Trey, dude. That's our buddy Trey. Downstairs.
Lonnie Dugan. What's up, Trey?
At my house. If Tony Williams says if Lockstar can play more like Teddy and not have the killer turnovers while taking smart chances downfield, it's his job to lose. Drew just needs to shed the Favre-ish miscues. That's well said. That's really well said.
I'd almost say former quarterback Jay Cutler miscues too. But yeah, exactly.
Tony Williams. Name?
Good, yeah. Huh?
Is Tony Williams your name, Johnny? Yeah.
I can't remember honestly. It might be.
Tony,
welcome to Nothing Rhymes.
Yep. Cheers.
My cousin Jay comes in saying, "Is it a matter of time that either Freeman or Gordon is an LA Ram due to their injuries?"
Well, I will say that it's more looking like it would be Royce Freeman, which, kudos to him. It would be kudos for the Broncos to get him to another team, but not just that, but a team in California, which I mean, it would be closer to home for Royce. I mean, he's from the Pac-12. He played in Oregon, so it would be closer for him. And it's the LA Rams, and they need a desperate need at running back because for, I guess, Matt Stafford's entire eternity, he can't seem to have a feature back in his offense. So
I agree. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, not saying that Royce Freeman is a feature back, but it's just very funny that every single career that Matt Stafford has, he just can't.
Boggins comes in saying he's loving that you're repping Dr. Mario's merch on the
boy.
show.
Mario's my boy.
Mario was on MHRT a couple weeks ago. And it was dope. It was sick.
Yeah, he's the greatest guy in the world. We had the dudes and diapers event yesterday, which is why I'm wearing the t-shirt and everything. But yeah, it was
that's sick though.
It was great. He's literally one of the best dudes on the planet. He's helped me a lot, not just on the body, but just everything else. He's been a brother from another.
He's just a cool dude, just period. Yeah. All around, he's a cool dude. So Denver Gator asks, how about that 3-headed monster running back room? Gordon looking better physically and mentally. Pookie so far as advertised, and Mike Boone looking like he could be RB1 on most teams.
So I've heard that about Melvin Gordon, that he looks really in shape and he looks really focused this year. I've heard he's looking to make big improvements from those 4 fumbles last year, and he's looking to be the workhorse.
Is that all there were?
So he's looking to be the workhorse, and Javonte Williams is as advertised, and we haven't heard much about Mike Boone, which he's supposed to be a special teams player. But I'm looking forward. Mike Boone's going to get a lot of touches come preseason.
What's your take, Cam? Like what are you thinking about this running back room?
Well, I'll start first with Melvin Gordon. This is a good thing for Melvin, because one. Melvin was under his own training regimen during the off season. One thing that Melvin was doing is that it was all about, him training and doing everything else. But at the same time, he was not there. He was not there for OTAs. So the fact that he's coming into training camp and doing all of this tells me, one, the training regimen that he was doing has him in the best shape maybe that he's ever been in.
It worked.
And it worked. Looks like it.
So
he looks good.
And let's be completely honest. I mean, Gordon is a pretty good back. I mean, there's just been a lot of things that just have been very unkind to him, like the fumbles,
the fumbles and the Chardonnay, man.
Well, and let's be fair. You could say it's another hot take, but I guess Melvin Gordon was. You could say, aside from Garrett Bowles, one of the best offensive performers last year in 2020, with the way that he carried the offense the last half of the season.
I don't know if I'd call that a hot take, but I'd throw you off.
I was about to say same thing as Johnny. That's not a hot take. You're right. Because thinking about it, Garrett Bowles, Philip Lindsay had his injuries. Jerry Jeudy had his drops, but was trying. KJ Hamler was in and out. No, actually, yeah, I'd give him top 3. I'd say Tim Patrick was second.
Yeah, but
I'd say Tim Patrick was second.
But as far as Javonte, I still very much say that Melvin Gordon's seat is still pretty much warm, if not hot, still.
That's
because Javonte is literally that dude. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was a former linebacker in high school,
turned running back,
and a guy that decided to basically take that linebacker persona and embody it as a running back, and just decide to plow people over and really use a true also finesse game to where he is as a running back. I was a little bit shocked he did not go in the first round.
I mean, he's running, but he's not just a power back though. He's got intelligence. No. You can see it. He's got. He sees the field. He sees the holes. And his routes are phenomenal. His cuts are phenomenal, and he can catch.
One of the things that I've mentioned a few times on the Mainly Broncos podcast with Javonte, that I've not heard a lot of people talk about, is Javonte's coming from the Mac Brown running back system. And we all know that there's a few running back notables to come from that Texas football tree. One of notable is Jamal Charles, Cedric Benson, and I believe there's another one that's thrown in there as well that I'm escaping, but those are the two notable ones that are. I mean, Ricky Henderson, or not Ricky.
Okay, I can
Ricky
see
Williams.
Ricky Williams, you meant, yeah.
So I mean, so there's something there with Mac Brown's system, and saying that and those types of players can last a long while. So both he and Gordon, are going to make for a pretty dynamic duo. But I will not sleep. I would not sleep on Mike Boone. I would not sleep on Mike Boone.
Neither would I.
To what the
I said preseason is going to be
what
huge for him.
To what the comment said about a running back one, I don't know if he would be a running back one, but seeing the stuff that he can provide, it looked a little bit like Lindsey in the stuff that I was watching. I mean, the guy can cut on a dime. The guy can be your true home run hitter. And frankly, he does add a lot of the versatility that Lindsey did not provide, which is the special teams, and which the Broncos did not have as far as their running back unit. They didn't have a guy that could contribute on special teams. So I would not sleep as far as some of the contributions from Boone this year.
Yeah, I've seen him, some of the clips of him in camp, and he's looking, he looks great.
If there's a game, and granted, you can't necessarily watch any of the all 22 film. Thank you, Game Pass. But if there's a game that you should watch for Boone, I believe it's against the Chargers, where I think he had like 120 some yards rushing and like 2 touchdowns or something with the Vikings.
I've watched that. I've actually watched clips from that game, and
146
he ran over
a touchdown.
and it was awesome. It's
So Jay Weaver comes in saying something that I've thought about and I agree with. He says Sutton might take a step back this year. He says Sutton might take a step back this year, looking sheepish with the knee this far. Thus far, Albert O looks more explosive coming off an injury. I've always worried about Courtland Sutton coming back off that knee. He's still in the brace because I think me and Johnny talked about it. His trainers wanted to go 80%. Don't go full out. But I know he did catch a 40-yard bomb from Drew Lock, meaning he can explode off the line. He can create separation, and he can go up there and get it if need be. So, and if that's going 80%, that's good. But Jay, I've also
you can kind of see it when you look at him.
I saw him dive up for a pass. It's a slight limp, small.
Yeah, well, I mean, even then, if you really are watching, it doesn't look like he's like running. It doesn't look like he's putting full effort into it either.
Well,
I mean,
what's interesting is like I don't know. He looks pretty darn good for a guy that tore his ACL, though. Like as far as
that's not an easy injury,
and which is not an easy injury, and so I think that he is quite moving well. And I don't know if you guys caught the Broncos interview with KJ and Sidney Jones. KJ was asked about Courtland, and I think KJ said that no, he thinks that Courtland is ready to go, and that he thinks that Courtland is ready to take that leap. And if we can get 80% of what that Courtland was, not necessarily last year, but that 2019 year,
2019,
like we're talking about a guy that, and in that 2019 year, I would argue was a bona fide or in that conversation of a top 5 wide receiver with the way that he did as far as production. I mean, thinking as far as you had 3 quarterbacks and he put up 1,000 yards, and
1,100 and got a Pro Bowl nod.
And I mean, we're talking about a freak athlete at that wide receiver position that the Broncos had with Demaryius Thomas, and a guy that I don't know if it was Emmanuel Sanders, it may have been Chris Harris, but when both of them were here, they called Courtland Sutton Baby Megatron. I mean. And granted, I mean that might be a little bit lofty as far as comparison goes, but also at the same token, they're not idiots by any shape of the imagination. Like they've been around the block quite a few times. So the fact that they can see talent and see it at that shape or form is great. So if Courtland Sutton can be at that level that we saw in 2019, if not just a tick above, along with the chemistry that we had seen with Drew and maybe even Teddy along within that camp, it's going to be an exciting year. So
it's going to be an exciting year.
But to put the pause button, though, you do worry as far as still that knee, because it is the ACL injury. You want to make sure that you –
ain't nobody got time for that.
You want to make sure that the You want to make sure that knee really is 100%. Because I mean,
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I would not be surprised and I would not be against it if Cortland Sutton and Von Miller decided to sit out the entire preseason. I would not be against it.
Ooh,
I would actually prefer that because the Von Miller's the other one that I also worry about. But I would honestly not be opposed to that because last year Von Miller got injured. Von Miller got injured like one of the last practices before Cortland Sutton got injured week 2, so just give him that extra time. But going to your hot take, the comments blew up a little bit, Cameron, for your hot take. EJ comes in. Also, before we get to that, Cortland Sutton in 2019 had to carry the load.
Mm-hmm.
He does not have to anymore because Jerry Jeudy's coming into his own. Noah Fant, Albert O, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick. He doesn't have to carry that load anymore. So if he's 80%, 85, 90%, and he's not, the ball, he's not a target as much as he was in 2019, that's okay. Now he can share the load. Yeah. So therefore, he's not overexerting his body when that ACL comes into effect. Now the young guys can help. So EJ comes in and he says DT and Sanders only because they actually played on the field at the same time. We still haven't seen Sutton and Jeudy for a whole season. And Mr. Boggin says right now DT and Sanders. Yeah. Right now DT and Sanders, Sutton and Jeudy have the potential to be better. You give Peyton this offseason to 2013.
This offense in 2013.
In 2013. I agree. And then Richard in the house.
Well,
he says this towards you.
I was gonna say I don't necessarily think that he might trip, but I mean, then again, Turf Monster has a tendency to pop out of nowhere. So I mean, anybody could be tripping.
Real quick, since we brought up Tim Patrick, I'm going back a little bit because Boggins actually had a good question regarding Patrick. He asked Cameron, "Do you see Patrick being traded before the trade deadline?"
It'll be interesting if he does get moved. There's one team in particular that probably could use him, and that'd be the New Orleans Saints. But I mean,
because Michael Thomas won't be there for the start of the season.
But I will say though, if it may not be the trade deadline, but if in my opinion, if you want to do right by Patrick, it's better to do it before the season than doing it mid-season, because then you can have him basically get adjusted to that Saints offense and really just get adjusted to whoever that quarterback is.
So what do you think? What do you think we could get for Tim Patrick from, say, the Saints?
I'd say a mid-rounder,
maybe 4th or 5th.
Yeah, I'd say 4th. Maybe you might be able to luck out into a 3rd.
But he was second-round tendered, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. So
that's true. He was. I kind of forgot that.
So you might be able to swing still a 4th rounder in there, but yeah, I mean, we're also talking about a player that, I mean, if you want to talk about perseverance, we say it so much time with a bunch of those Denver Broncos undrafted free agents, and granted, the Broncos grabbed him as a future. I believe he was a future pick or something like that, and the Broncos were able to snag Patrick, develop him, and he's turned out to be maybe a wide receiver 2 on some teams. And frankly, a really good wide receiver 3 on a lot of other teams. So
really good. I mean, he had 79 catches and 0 drops. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Tony Williams says my heart will always love Rod and Easy Ed overall, but for the sake of Cameron's point, I'll take the potential of Sutton and Jeudy over Bay and Manny.
And that's all it comes down. That's all it comes down to, really. It's just about a matter of projection with that. And I will always love Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas is my favorite player, along with Justin Simmons. I actually have a picture of Demaryius over my my kitchen, and it's the Tebow play. But yeah, I will always love DT. It's just a matter of just the overall projection when you look at Cortland and Jerry Jeudy and so yeah.
So question from me to you. What do you predict?
I agree with that.
So, question for me to you, Cam. This is not from the comments. This is from me. What do you predict we're going to do in the division this year? Like, what do you predict it's going to look like for us division wise? Because real quick, I just want to say, in addition to my original quote of of James talking to Alexis Perry earlier this week or yesterday, he did mention that if you take, which sounds weird, he said, you take away the quarterback situation, right, which you don't normally do, the Broncos have a better roster player for player than the Kansas City Chiefs do. He said top to bottom. So what do you predict we do this season in the division?
It's it'll be hard to certainly predict right now because I've not actually been there at camp, so I can't necessarily say definitively. I'll be there Tuesday. I will be there Tuesday, and
I am so jealous.
And then I'll be there again on Saturday, August 7th. But I think the Broncos have certainly the potential to be number 2 in the division. The question is just, but I don't. I will probably safely, as of right now, if we're talking on August 1st, on the first day of August, I will just say 3rd. But I do believe that they are a team that can very much challenge the wild card, and a lot of that is one. You talk about the division. It's a really good division. It might be one of the best divisions in football next to the NFC West.
Easily.
And so it would not surprise me if 3 teams out of the AFC West go to the playoffs. And so I do think a lot of it is just the division they play in. And I also believe that the 17 games for this regular season, or sorry, the 18 games. The 18 games that they have for this particular season. The fact they have one extra game, allows for a potential 9-8 team, 10-7 team, or maybe even an 8-9 team, for that matter. Sneak in.
Right.
So
I mean, it's go ahead.
Tony Williams, real quick. Sorry, Johnny. Tony Williams answered my question. He says he's a newish listener. Mal High Five from Jersey.
I got to know Tony.
To you, Tony.
I got to know Tony on Broncos Talk this last Tuesday, and he and I have actually been hitting it up. He actually hit me up in the DMs, and we've been talking a little bit. He used to be a reporter for the Jets and the Giants. He's a Broncos fan, but he was a reporter for the Jets and the Giants. And I think I don't remember if he said the Yankees. I think he said the Mets. So that's pretty cool. So Mile High really Prophet.
Cool. We got a special guest, Mile High Prophet. Not sure that anything will shut the locators up, but our playoff berth has been foretold. This is from the prophet himself.
The prophet is foretold. Our prophet.
It's true. Mile High Prophet is one of the good Twitter followers. Certainly, he's a good one.
Prophet's awesome.
Yeah. Mile High Prophet's awesome. But it is true. It is true.
Yeah, that's a good name too. Mile High Prophet.
I was going to say, we talked about the 45 touchdowns. I take it back. There will be a part of the Drew Lock, hater crowd, if you will, that will find something to either rile all.
Oh, absolutely.
Up. Look, the thing about Drew Lock is there's there's a few of us that, I'm a huge Lock fan because I was, he played for my college team and all that. But ultimately, I want who's best for the Broncos. That's you can call me riding the fence, whatever.
As it should be.
But I mean, I want Drew to succeed. One, because he was I've been a fan of his since before he was a Bronco, and 2, because the upside of him succeeding as a Bronco is way higher than the upside of Teddy. I would love to see Teddy succeed as a Bronco,
as it should be. But as it should be. I mean, it's way more about the name on the front than is in the name on the back.
There is something about the guy.
And the name on the front is nothing rhymes. You're right.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing rhymes. No, there is something though about the guy that makes him like. I mean, the guy is like Lucifer to some people or something. I don't know why. Like he could cure cancer, walk on water, turn water to wine, and then like save a kitten from a tree while rescuing a baby. And they're gonna be like, yeah, but you should have saved the cat first and not the baby.
So this is how so Cameron, this is how bad the Lock hater is. So on Twitter, this is the funniest tweet I've ever seen. It is the funniest tweet I've ever seen. So when it was they were talking about Drew's nice pass to Trinity Benson. It was a nice pass. And they're like, Drew Lock just threw a touchdown pass to Trinity Benson. He had to dive out and get it. And some dude commented, but did Drew mean to do that? That's the question we'll never know. And somebody commented, they said, no, he meant to throw it at the back of Lord Barry's head.
Yeah,
that's how deep the hatred goes. Yeah, it's like, did he mean to throw that touchdown pass? No, he meant to throw it at the back of his center's head. It was just, it just goes deep. But I mean, I think that one thing that Zach Kelberman says all the time: winning cures all. I think if Drew Lock does get deemed, if he does get a crown the starter, and he goes out there and he just first 3 games he's killing it. He's doing well. I think that'll quell some people. Some people will say, "Well, I want to see consistency and all that." But I think winning cures all.
It's true.
And I'll admit, I'm more than happy to admit I have a bias. I prefer Drew Lock because he's the incumbent. I've seen him for a couple of years. We've got to know him, and I just root for the guy that's already here. And I don't want to move on and move forward to something else. But I have a bias. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if they say Teddy Bridgewater is the better quarterback for this team, and Teddy Bridgewater can give us wins, I'm rooting for Teddy. Like you said, the name on the front, not the back.
And the one thing I was going to say too is, I mean, if we're talking about, say, to maybe agree with the position of why they're a little bit frustrated, I can understand the frustration.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, the quarterback play ever since Peyton Manning left has been that, the ESPN graphic every single
the revolving door, the carousel.
I mean, it's been exhausting, and so I completely understand it. But the fact is you now have a new GM, and frankly, a new GM that. Oh, and by the way, that reminds me, John Elway is not the GM anymore. For anybody that is listening to this, John Elway is not the general manager anymore. For anybody that is either So, but
yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong. I'll bow before John Elway. He's John Elway, and don't you ever forget it, Broncos country. But John Elway is not the GM anymore.
I think people are still trying to understand that because George Payton is so good and so quiet, and he doesn't splash, he doesn't make noise, he does what he needs to do.
And that's George Payton, and that's perfect. That's what you want him to be. That's what you want your GM to be.
And we just signed another cornerback today.
So
a lot of people know that we just. Please. Yeah, I'm not gonna try. Jerry Holland, is he new, Johnny? Did we discuss him?
No, we've had Jerry before.
Jerry, nice to meet you.
No, I think it's his first day, but we talked to him earlier today.
Jerry, cheers, buddy, cheers. He says, "I think we shocked the division, but it shouldn't be shocking to us." I looked at our schedule. I don't know if they set us up, but I think the last 3 games of the season, or the last 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 4, are all division games. So that last, depending on how that last 3 games are playoff games. And I agree with you, Jerry. I think we shocked the division. I think we get 2 out of 3 of those. I think we beat the Raiders and the Chiefs, and I think we lose to the Chargers the last one because I think we look past them.
Denver Gator says Chiefs are in for a long season. They have to deal with Fangio and Staley defenses 4 times a year. I think between the 2 schemes, they will crack the code to beat the Chiefs. Example, Buccaneers.
I agree 110%.
I think we found Cam?
I was just going to go a step further too. And if Denver does challenge the second place in the division, that's a lot because Justin Herbert would have encountered a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
And so I think that, for anybody that is our very own Zach Seegers has talked about this. I mean, Justin Herbert, he played out of his mind as a rookie, but it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that a sophomore slump could happen with Justin Herbert. So
they happen all the time.
And he just lost his tight end
all the time. He lost his tight end. He lost a whole bunch of offensive linemen, I believe.
Yeah. The whole AFC West, besides the Broncos, just obliterated their offensive lines for no reason whatsoever.
And as far as the Chiefs go, I mean, you do have Brandon Staley. You have the Vic Fangio disciple, if you will, in the with the Chargers, and then you have Vic Fangio himself, and he along the lines of maybe Wade Phillips, if not better. As one of the better defensive coordinators.
How many teams are currently trying to adopt a Vic Fangio?
They are. They really are.
Everyone.
I'm just.
Did you see the video today? They released of Vic Fangio talking to the players.
Yes, I did. I love it.
That's
the one thing I love about Vic. It's the one thing. I shouldn't say one thing, but it's one of the few things that I've always loved about Vic is he's coach. Like, he understands what it means to be a coach. He loves his players. He's personal. he's personable, and then he's probably personal too in the way that he is as an Italian. But but overall, he's he relates to his players really well, and the defense, you can just tell, loves him.
Yes, I think that's one of the two things I was going to say about him. Was one, the first thing I noticed was he's been in the game for a long time, and you can say this about any coach, really. But just listen to him; he's really smart and knows what the hell he's saying. And two, the players are attentive to him when he speaks. So he was talking to I don't know if they were tight ends or they were defense, but he was talking to them, and he was just telling them what they do, and it was basic things that I'm like, I know that, so I know. They know that, but even if they knew it, they
look
still
at Isaiah.
listen to
He
him.
knows that.
Stop it. That's enough.
Getting sassy up in here, like you the man.
Even if they knew it, they were still. He was telling them how to break down and tackle somebody, an open field tackle. He's telling them don't take long strides, chop it down, and approach them. And they were listening. I'm like, well, you would know this. I saw that.
Prophet.
But it was they listened to him and they respect him. They listen to him. They respect
Elway
him.
is the
very,
provider.
very smart.
I love it. Elway is
first Broncos commandment and South Park season 4 episode 16.
Elway is the first commandment of Broncos country. Elway is the provider, and also South Park season 4 episode 16.
Hey, my high prophet, do you have the 10 Broncos commandments? If you don't, you need to publish those.
He does. He carries them around on his tablets.
He does.
I need to see those. I need to see those.
I don't know how you have it yet, dude. How many times do I have to tell you to read a book? Read a book. Like,
I'm still waiting for you to teach me how to read.
Well, I'm sorry. Okay, it's not that easy. With these
comments,
I have other things to do. All right.
I was gonna say you got the first step down. You're speaking.
That's right. He knows words. You know words, Isaiah. Good job.
I'm trying. Okay. So EJ comes in and he says we all want Locke to become the franchise QB. But right now, we are critical because he's inconsistent and has not been good enough. EJ, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Exactly.
He has been. We are critical because he has been inconsistent and he has not been good enough. The crazy part is, and I was thinking about this earlier today. On one of the podcasts we did earlier, when the first video of Drew Lock throwing the ball came out after like months or whatever, we were analyzing his footwork and his stance and his throwing, and we're just going deep diving into everything. And we're all going to do that. And I can comment and say I think there's been improvements. Like Jay said, I think it was Jay that said, no, that was Trey that said that there's been no interceptions in camp. His big thing was turnover.
Not by Locke.
Not by Locke. His mechanics, his turnovers, and there's been zero. So what I will say is
I've been able to tell, from what I've been able to tell, his mechanics look much better than they were before.
Yeah.
As far as his reads go, I think he's making it to about 3. Like we know, like last season, I think he struggled getting even past his second read.
2, past the ball. 2.
And that was one of the struggles was that he'd make those stupid decisions to just throw it up and
because they cover his first 2 reads. And
from what I can tell, it looks like he's making it. It looks like he's starting to make it to at least number 3 on his reads. I can't say for sure if I've noticed he's made 4. But
so what he does now is if you watch him, especially that touchdown pass to KJ Hamler and Trinity Benson, what he's starting to do now, and I think he learned this. I'm hoping he learns from Peyton Manning through studying film. He looks the safety off a lot. Mr. Bottom. There's a quarterback competition. he tweeted that earlier, didn't he? Or he put that in a group message earlier. So
I don't remember.
So what he does now, I'm starting to realize is, Johnny, you mentioned this to me first. You told me to look at it, and I went back and looked at it. I'm not sure if you noticed this, Cameron. He does what Peyton Manning used to do, what most Hall of Fame professional quarterbacks do, is he looks the safety off. So he'll hike the ball. Johnny, you told me to check this out.
Your internet just crapped out, dude. Your internet just crapped out like
and at the last second, he'll throw it to KJ Hamler.
Are you dying? Like, what's going on? Like,
fine.
between your internet and whatever gas you got going on in your chest right now, it looks like you're about to drop dead.
I almost was wondering if the Locke haters were, cracking into the.
They're killing him. Yeah, the Locke haters are trying to bust in.
Yeah,
they're past my. They're past my first firewall.
Okay, so recap real quick.
Yeah, no,
This is a
Isaiah,
great
you're gonna have
recap.
to jump.
This is a great
Isaiah,
recap.
it's a great recap. Isaiah,
Am I good? Am I back?
No, drop out, come back in. It's
So-
doing it again. It's doing it again.
so-
Drop out, come back in. You did. Dave says you just switched to Wyoming internet, like Bob
But-
Skinner has.
But as far as the decision making, Johnny, we're talking about the decision making. That is basically his thing, is in a nutshell, because it's like it all hinges on the decision making, because everything
Yes.
else hinges on the decision making. If the decision making is where it needs to be, the footwork will be where it needs to be, the reads will be where it needs to be, the turnovers will be down, everything will be in essence where it needs to be, and that's really the thing that Locke. We talked about certainly how Teddy can be a beneficial aspect of this offense. Well, Drew could do some of that and take
Yes.
some of that, and also still incorporate a lot of those big plays, something that Teddy does not do.
Yeah,
but
he
Drew
doesn't.
does.
He's a check down
Drew,
Charlie.
but Drew does. And so if Drew can, and the best way for me to ever really put this is, the guy's got a winter soldier arm. He's got a winter soldier arm.
That's great. I like that.
And he just has to understand to maximize when to be a gunslinger and when not to be a gunslinger.
And I think
that's ultimately what it comes down to. So,
and he addressed that in his press conference too.
He did. And that's the beautiful thing about Drew. I mean, the fans can that are hating on him, they can hate on him all they want, and that is just strictly the play on the field. But if you look just overall work ethic, his ability to be a guy in the room and a guy that answers questions, I mean, like, if he can do that, then you're looking at a guy that
franchise quarterback
is a franchise quarterback, and he does that. Like he goes through his press conferences and he answers exactly the questions that need to be answered, and answers them the way that you'd expect a franchise type quarterback to answer, honestly and to the point. And that's exactly the way that Drew operates. So it isn't the thing with Drew is it's not for a sake of what you see in the press conferences that he'll fail. It'll be what he does on the field that makes him fail.
Another thing I want to point out, real quick, Boggin says, "Who gets their fourth read? You're dead by then."
That's hilarious.
That's Peyton.
That's hilarious.
You know what? I would call that fourth. You know what, Boggins? I would call that fourth read though your check down. Like where you're just like, but it is funny. It is funny. And I'm gonna pull up Lonnie Dugan here. He says, either way, at least Locke seems to be taking it seriously so far, whether it's work ethic, drive, or just being scared. Crapless. Motivation is motivation. And I'm going to agree. Because I don't know if you've seen it, Cam, but Isaiah and I talked about it. This was, back when OTAs first kicked off. That very first little short clip of video we managed to get of Drew Lock throwing the ball. He had this, I brought it up on our show that week, and I said, like, he had this intensity look in his face that just was so powerful. And I've seen that same look this week in camp.
But the thing is like his work ethic and motivation, that's always been there. But it's just the layers of it. Like, how far do you take it? And that's the thing with Drew, is that like his motivation and work ethic, that's necessarily always been there. It's just he's taking it to a completely different level, it seems, right now in the
Isaiah.
This happens. So Cameron, this happens. That it hasn't been this bad, but like I said, the wife and I are moving, so we're gonna upgrade our internet. We're in a really, really bad spot here. So this happens every single Sunday.
So I was gonna say, do we need to do an over under of when you need to drop out again?
I take the under. On this one.
Loser buys the beer.
I always buy the beer anyway. You come over to my house and you walk out the door with 5 of my beers. Every time, I swear to God.
I open
Jackson, my fridge up. I come up here into the man cave and I open my fridge and I'm like, what the hell? I had a 24-pack in here.
So every time I come over, Johnny's like, hey, I'm headed to work. So I'll see Johnny like a few hours before he goes to work. I'll try and catch him so I can see the whole family. Johnny be like, hey, just don't drink a lot of beer. Yeah, Johnny, you got it. He said, I don't have much whiskey or whatever crap he says. So I'm leaving.
I don't. It's expensive.
Hey, nobody cares what you have to say. So as I'm leaving, As I'm leaving, I didn't tell you this, Johnny, but as I was leaving the other day, Jackson knows my routine. So he starts racing me up to the man cave, and he goes, Uncle, you got to get your beers before you leave. He knows the deal.
Yeah, I go into the fridge today to grab my beer, and I'm like, there's like 5 beers left. I was like, I almost screamed, Isaiah, like a freaking Mr. Wilson from,
It's all about
Dennis the Menace
repetition
kind of thing.
It's all about repetition.
So
you guys can't get used to it if I don't do it enough. So Dave, I heard you. He said, if I didn't say it loud enough, welcome back, Isaiah. I'm glad to be back, Dave. Thank you for the welcome. I'm glad to be back here after a couple weeks.
So Cam, Isaiah and I, we met in the Army. We have been best friends for many years. So much so that we literally live, even though we're both out of the military now. Well, he's still in the National Guard. So much so though that we ended up both settling about 40 minutes, like a 40-minute drive apart. So that, we're still that close. So literally, he's over here days out of the week, like I said, stealing my beer. He walks in the door, he walks straight to the closet and grabs ramen noodles and just starts fixing himself some ramen.
I have a reputation to maintain. I cannot change that.
And he's also godfather to all 3 of my sons.
Nice.
So, we do truly have that closeness. This isn't just like a podcast friendship here.
It isn't that that he's a stalker that just randomly shows up at your door.
No, I do.
No, I have guns.
Right.
No, Cameron, I'm not a stalker, but I do show up at his door randomly. I have the passcode to his door. So
okay, so I like what Jerry Holland said
in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, he does.
Hey, I have no shame. I have no shame whatsoever.
That's true. None of us do. You can't afford to have shame. We were military, bud.
Yeah, they took that
away. There is no shame when you're
military. If they want us to have shame, they would have issued it to us.
That's right. Jerry Holland, I like what he says here. When I see fans say that Locke throws into triple coverage, I can't help but to label them a hater, because realistically speaking, I challenge any of those folks to provide some tape of that. It ain't happening. It's complete exaggeration.
Jerry Holland coming in hot. Jerry.
You know what, Jerry? Jerry, you get the hot take.
Jerry came in with some backup. He said, show me the proof. Richie said, Isaiah, I like beer too. Hey, I'm going to send you Johnny's address. Just stop by. He's got plenty of it.
Like Rich is up in Canada, right? Like he's got that thick Canadian stuff that we don't get down here. So, all right. This Boggin says this video is sponsored by T-Mobile. Don't.
Tony Williams says, why is Broncos country so impatient? I'm old enough to remember Bradshaw. Damn. Okay, thank you, Tony.
Hey. You leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Tony, thank you. He says, I'm old enough to remember when Bradshaw, Elway, Aikman all stunk early. Not saying Locke is Hall of Fame bound, but he has the tools and has shown enough flashes for me to have confidence. Tony, I'm right there with you. And the game, there's 2 games that stick out. Everybody talks about the Houston game in 2019, where Cortland Sutton had 2 touchdowns, and he beat Deshaun Watson, who everybody wants. That game was huge. But the game that sticks out to me is the Chargers last year, the comeback 31-30, and the Carolina Panthers. And the reason why, Tony, I agree with you.
My wife,
Barbara.
We brought it upon ourselves. We gave him his own passcode to the door. That's my wife.
Barbara, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told my wife. Hey, this is non-refundable. You can't take me back. This is it.
No, but I'm still trying to get my money's worth on the warranty.
Yeah, years ago.
Rich says, change that passcode just for fun.
I will lose my mind.
Every weekend. Yes. Every weekend.
But Tony,
I'm going to make it some 13, 14 digit code.
I'll just have Jackson come open the door. But Tony, to answer your what I was saying was the Chargers game. The thing I really saw in Drew Lock that I really, really liked and gave me a lot more confidence than a lot of people have, which they're not wrong for having a lack of confidence in Drew, was if you go back and watch the highlights, he checked down to Melvin Gordon a lot. Mm-hmm. And he also stayed in the pocket. He didn't take a sack. He rushed a little bit, and he actually brought us back last second. I mean, put yourself, Johnny, do you remember we were on the phone during that game. How nervous did you feel? The Chargers game. How nervous did you feel?
I know how I was feeling.
How nervous were you?
I know
Cameron?
that I couldn't sit down. I remember
I was
being
both
on the
standing
phone
up.
with you. I remember being on the phone with you. I'm over there. I'm standing like over here looking at my TV, which is over here.
Mhm.
And I'm standing there and I've got the beer in my hand and I'm like, I'm talking to you on the phone. I'm sitting here like, come on.
Yeah, my
Yes!
wife is sleeping. I'm screaming.
Like
Yes.
it was crazy.
So
you know?
the reason why I'm saying that is imagine how we felt. So you remember how we felt. Now imagine how
Yeah.
he felt. And he
Yeah.
sits in that moment and we come back to that. We come back and win the game. The very last second 2-point conversion. That's what gave me confidence.
It wasn't a 2-point
That's his
conversion.
first game-winning drive.
I don't think, was it? No, it was the. Yeah, I was trying to think. It was the 2-point conversion because they decided to go for 2.
Yes.
There was the.
and it was
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. We scored at the last second. And then we went for the 2-point conversion
I
with
was
no
thinking
time left.
because there was so much conversation whether McManus should have kicked extra. No, yeah, I was in the same boat.
it was so
I
close.
I went through
Yeah.
so many different emotions. But when it was 24-3, I went through
like the
so
5
many.
stages of grief right there.
Well, when it was 24-3, I believe I was at my parents' house and we were watching the game. It was me, a friend, my dad, and I, and my mom. And I just sat on the chair, just 24-3, just all depressed. And then, I saw 24-10. I was like, okay,
Philip Lindsay broke that run.
yeah, and then just all
Bryce
hell broke
Callahan had
loose.
the interception.
Then all hell broke loose, and just the rest is history. But the thing I love about that game, though, with Drew, was there was so much buzz and there was so much talk about that it was Jerry Jeudy who sparked the comeback, and he might have. I mean, he might have, or he might have said something to Drew in the huddle, but it was Drew himself that willed that comeback literally for the against the Chargers, because I mean, like, the backs were up against the wall, and what was so funny is like it was, and so for anybody that said was it Jerry Jeudy who sparked the comeback, I mean, it might have. I mean, the comeback literally happened after that play when he dropped the pass on the sidelines and argued with the ref. So I mean,
Oh, that was bad.
So I mean, but at that moment, yeah, no, it was incredible, and there were a lot of moments like that, not comebacks per se, but just a lot of games where you saw it, and and we talked about its progressions and going through the reads. People can hate on the, speaking of Jerry Jeudy, people can hate on that 92-yard touchdown pass against the Oakland Raiders, or I will say Las Vegas Raiders to be the true technical term. They're still the Oakland Raiders to me.
Oh, it's Oakland. It'll be
Yeah,
Oakland to me till the day
but-
I die.
When Drew went through all of the reads there and hit Jerry Jeudy in the middle of the field
In
and-
stride.
in stride.
In
that-
stride between the hash. It was
So
beautiful.
I mean, there are a lot of plays that certainly stand in in any
Yes.
Broncos fan mind, but what Drew could be and what Jerry Jeudy can be just is etched in every bit of that particular play.
Mhm.
let alone-
Yes.
Let alone that particular moment of the game and whatever. Broncos should have won that game. I still
Yeah.
hold true to that. Broncos
Look,
should have
the only reason we lost that game is the coach.
exactly.
Period.
And,
Okay.
and you're actually, Cameron, you're absolutely right. The connection between Drew Lock and Jerry Jeudy was in that play. I think it was like third and long. I mean, we were backed up to like what, the 9-yard line?
I think it was like
no,
third and
really,
12,
yard
third and
line.
14, but still.
Yeah, I thought it was third
It
and
was,
17. So
it was a 92-yard play, so it would have been the
8-yard line.
Yeah, 8-yard line.
So we were backed up on the 8-yard line. We were trying to come back. It looked like our offense had stalled. It's third and
17.
that's what I thought. I thought it was third and 17. Yeah, it was third and 17. And Jerry Jeudy runs it deep, and Drew Lock steps up in the pocket and throws a dime to him in stride, and he just takes off. And you're right. That was the epitome. That was the foundation of everything
Yeah.
that Jerry
and-
Jeudy and Drew Lock could be. That was a picture of potential.
And even going to the Carolina game. I mean,
Mhm.
if you
Oh,
want
the
I love
Carolina
that
game.
and if you want to go to
I
the
love that
Carolina
game.
game and just talk about the Drew Lock and KJ Hamler show.
Yes.
And-
I love that.
And I mean, there's little bits and pieces there, and as we were saying earlier, there's obviously things that Drew needs to work on, but there's bits and pieces that you can certainly pull away and you can say, wow, there are things to be excited about with Drew, and there's things to be excited about with this offense. And
Yeah.
that even the KJ Hamler play, I mean, Drew Lock was calling plays. He made an audible. KJ said himself, Drew made an audible on the go route. I believe they were on the 30 or 40-yard line when KJ went on that go and just burned the guy, like absolutely toasted him, like
Dusted
Tyreek
him.
Hill.
And it was a beautiful pass.
And so, I mean, we're talking about, just these bits and pieces of potentially what the Broncos could be in.
It's all there now. It just needs to come together and stay consistent.
Can we beat the Chiefs?
Yeah, and look, you see it here. New name, by the way. I don't recognize it. I don't know if you
Caddy 22920.
Welcome to the show, Caddy. It's nice to see you. Can we beat the Chiefs at home? That is our bar.
Well,
I mean,
actually, we've been
that's the bar to set.
Close. We've been really darn close.
We have.
And I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing is that, we can beat Mahomes. I think that, we've been really darn close. We were leading at half in Arrowhead with Drew Lock at the helm.
Yes, I remember.
We were. Was that that was the game in the? No, that wasn't the game in the snow.
No,
the game in the snow was in Kansas City.
It was the primetime game.
Right.
We were leading at half, and then
10-6, I believe.
10-6, and then just
it just fell apart after that.
The second half. But again, those are just things that you can take away that we can beat the Chiefs.
I like what Lonnie Dugan said here, going back to the crappy quarterbacks of the past, or quarterbacks that got better. I'm from a family of Dallas fans. Terry Bradshaw was as useful as an Amish electrician at first.
Yep.
I just wanted to give I wanted to give him his just desserts on that Amish electrician joke because that was pretty good.
Obviously, back to the Chiefs point. If the Broncos do beat the Chiefs, obviously, Broncos will have to put up some points. And luckily, I was looking it up, and the Broncos have a winning record every single time Drew puts up 20 plus points or more. I believe the Broncos have a winning record. I don't know if exactly what it is, but
that's a cool statistic.
But I believe the Broncos do have a winning record whenever Drew puts up. I don't know if it's 20 plus or if it's 20. 24 or more. I can't remember, but
at the risk of showing my ignorance, where do you find a stat like that?
Well, I mean, not to sound like I'm smart, but it's self-calculation.
Oh, fair enough. All right.
Well, he hasn't played that many games, so it's not hard to look up.
Yeah. But
I'm just saying, like,
the best way to do it is to go to go to Pro Football Reference and go to the game results and stuff like that.
Oh, I have it saved and ready. It's just
and then to just basically just do the self calculation. But that, to answer Tony's question or point that is there, that is in essence how they're going to end up beating Mahomes. The Broncos will certainly have to put up some points, but when Vic Fangio's taking the helm, every single time that the Broncos have been this close. I said Pro Football Reference, Boggins. Not Pro Football Focus.
Nobody likes Pro Football Focus, Boggins.
Nobody likes PFF. Nobody likes PFF. I like that Coach Fang's nickname. He says Coach Fang has the formula to unnerve Mahomes, but now he finally has the healthy weapons to beat him. Exactly. I think the key to and honestly beating any team in the NFL is the turnover game. Last year we hardly won the turnover.
We didn't win. We haven't won the turnover. We have not won the turnover game for 5 seasons at least.
And that's the reason why he got Kyle Fuller and he got Ronald Darby, and that's why they drafted Patrick Surtain to win the turnover battle. Because if you got Von Miller and Bradley Chubb pressure Mahomes and he steps up in the pocket and the coverage downfield is tight and we can win it, that's momentum. And I look up and do more research and science as to what really momentum is, because that is a real thing and a real feeling. And momentum changes. And so, you get Drew or whoever it is, Drew or Teddy on the field with a momentum change against the Chiefs, a division rival who we haven't beat in 11 games, I believe. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I think we are 0-11 right now since 2016.
That's a terrible statistic.
Is it?
That's a terrible statistic. No, it's just 2015. We lost the last game against the Chiefs the year we won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning.
But I think that's what makes this particular team so fascinating, is because you look at it from the over, and it goes back to what we were talking about with what Palmer mentioned, right?
Yes.
So the Broncos have the roster to go up and down with the Kansas City Chiefs.
He said top to bottom.
Yep.
But take the quarterback position out, top to bottom. The Broncos roster is a better roster than the Chiefs.
And the sole reason because of that is the defense. And it's everything that had unfolded in this offseason with the signing of Kyle Fuller, Ronald Darby, and the drafting of Patrick Surtain. Yes. And then you put in maybe Baron Browning in some spurts to help, take this defense to a little bit of or even a Justin Sternad, who is really done well this early in camp. So
That's what I've
Yeah,
heard.
I heard that.
But I mean, you can call it a lot of pressure all you want, but I think that I believe that the X factor for this team is going to end up being, at least on defense, is going to end up being certainly what Pat Surtain is going to bring to this team. If he can, that's exactly what I was actually going to talk about, because it was just like if he can cover Kelsey and Waller, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys have been following much of the training camp updates, but he's been doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He's been covering some of the tight ends in camp.
In fact, I think I heard them say that the coaches are even kind of trying to carve out a special position just for Pat Surtain.
He's a freak athlete, and Richard Sherman is 6'3". Richard Sherman don't look 6'3". Pat Surtain literally looks 6'2" in every bit of it. Like, he's a physical presence, and I'm really hoping the best for him. And the dude has just got God.
He's an animal.
I watched one highlight of him, and I forgot who was guarding. They put a double move on him. This man didn't even flinch, and it was a pass breakup. I think it was either one of the one receivers. I think it was Jerry. I think it was a one receiver.
I was gonna say didn't even flinch. Jerry Jeudy, because Jerry Judy's been owning him in camp.
Jerry Judy's been owning everybody in camp. I don't think
Caddy wants to know if Justin Simmons can cover Kelsey, and
but you like Justin Simmons as the roaming safety.
Yeah, he's a roaming safety, so you can't just put him on.
Kareem Jackson comes down as the flat / the run safety. So Pat Surtain's perfect for that position.
I was gonna say the answer is probably yes, because Justin Simmons is like a unicorn. You can literally play him.
Yeah, he is an animal.
Like, you could play him anywhere. And plus, the stat I always hate the most is back in the whole Vance Joseph era. Vance Joseph, as you'd expect, didn't know where to play Justin Simmons.
Oh, God.
So he played Justin Simmons in like 8 different positions on defense.
Yeah, he did.
And so one of them was like, covering tight end. So I mean, he's definitely capable of it, but no, I'd much rather him be the back end,
the roaming safety.
The much better version of an Eddie Jackson of this Vic Fangio
defense. Amen.
And
He
be the quarterback.
He's blossomed in Vic Fangio's scheme.
He's a superstar. He's gotten better every single year, even under Vance Joseph. Like, he's gotten better every single year. He's the consummate professional. I was so happy to see my boy rewarded with his contract, and I
absolutely well deserved.
So, but yeah, no, I'm excited for it, and I'm excited to see. So, but I mean, yeah, he can cover the tight ends. I would just much rather, in order for this defense to really take off, someone else would take that full responsibility. We could say it's a lot of responsibility in and of itself having Pat Surtain cover him, but the dude's got the lineage. The dude has like 4 different soundboards in that defense with Ed Donatil, Vic Fangio, and his dad, who was a former NFL player as well. So, I mean, like, the guy has like multiple different soundboards, and we're talking about maybe one of the more underrated coaching hires that had happened in this offseason. Christian Parker, poaching him from the Green Bay Packers, whose cornerback room was one of the best in the National Football League with the emergence of Jair Alexander.
Yeah.
So
I think he was rated the number 1 or number 2 best corner in the league.
Yeah, at the very least, top 5.
I'm gonna bring up one last question, because we are truly about out of time, because I actually, believe it or not, literally have to log off of here and go straight to work. And I work until 7 a.m. So that being said, Lonnie Dugan. First of all, buddy, Lonnie is another one of my Army battle buddies.
Nice.
And he's been a Cowboys fan for most of his life, but he's been palling around with me so much and everything that he's starting to truly convert. Yes. So he says, I'm fairly new to Broncos Nation. And Lonnie, I'm going to go ahead and correct you now. We are not Broncos Nation. We are Broncos Country.
We are Broncos Country.
Let it happen again.
You want to be part of a nation? Go join the Raiders. Okay.
Don't be like Mike Clisson. Piss off everybody and say Broncos Nation. I love you, Mike, but please don't say Broncos Nation.
Mike, don't do it. No, we are Broncos Country. All right. He says, why do you think beating the Chiefs is so challenging for Denver? Because it has been since 2015 since we've beaten them. What is your
what's
your
Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say the same thing. Patrick Mahomes.
It's been hard for everybody. Hey, Trey, it's been hard for everybody in the NFL.
Well, Chiefs. I mean, and we can call it a cop-out answer, say Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, still, it's because they drafted.
Because our defense has been solid since then.
Yes,
but I mean, and I mean,
quarterback play.
At the same time, it's really just we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We've been playing, as a bad team overall whenever we play Kansas City, which is
you're not wrong. It's like they get in our heads. It's weird.
That's the mark of I hate to say it, that's the mark of a bad team. And
yes.
I mean, and frankly, the Broncos have been a bad team, in the last handful of years.
Right.
So,
there's the answer. So, Dave Glassman says, welcome, Lonnie, to #Broncos country. PS2 lockdown Kyle Pitts in college, says EJ. And that's true. I've seen that highlight, and he did. I can't wait to see PS2 on this defense. So that being said, guys, I really do have to get out of here. We have to get ready to bounce. But go ahead, Cam.
I was going to say one of the best quotes that I ever heard from PS2 was Cecil Lammey. I'm an Xbox guy, but I do love some PS2.
Well, you know what? I am a PS2 guy, or I am a PS guy. So you know what? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a PlayStation guy. That being said, Cam, thank you again for joining us today. If you'll hang around for just a minute after we end the broadcast, just like to talk with you for a minute, I'd appreciate it. But guys, this has been another awesome episode of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue. Please do not forget to follow our awesome special guest, Cameron Parker, at Cameron Parker on Twitter, because he is the man. All right. He's the man, the myth, the legend, rocking it on Mainly Broncos, and an awesome writer. You can find him on Predominantly Orange. All right. Go Google it, Predominantly Orange. You'll find the website. Trust me.
And and I was going to say, and the quickest way, if you guys are down, you guys can download the fan-sided app.
Yes.
Set your team notification to the Denver Broncos, and every time, I guess you could say, if you want to intentionally stalk me whenever an article drops, or anybody that writes for us, you get a notification about an article that drops. But yeah, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Cameron Parker PO. I wish I had an at Cameron Parker handle, but nonetheless. But yeah, Mainly Broncos, at Mainly Broncos as well.
Yeah, there you go. So
this was a blast, Johnny. This was a blast, Isaiah. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It was absolutely awesome. So hopefully,
you were fantastic. You were fantastic. Yeah, we were fantastic.
And we will definitely be hitting you up to come back sometime, and maybe someday if you have a bug up your your whatever, and want one of us to come give a guest spot on Mainly, just let us with you and Maddie. Just let us know.
Sup, Rosie Diaz, new name, never seen before.
Nope, not new, Rosie? Not new, just new to you because you haven't been here in weeks, jerk.
Gosh, what is going on?
Anyway, so thank you guys for joining us for another awesome episode of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, follow. Give us those subscribes, guys, on MHRT Podcasts on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We go live every Sunday for right now until I announce the new schedule. For right now, every Sunday at 6:543. Put it in the right time zones. All right. Please do not miss our other shows. On Tuesday, Broncos Talk with myself, a 6'10" Mexican, and Richie Riche. On Tuesday evenings at 7:654. Again, put them where they go. We have a lot of fun on there. And do not miss our flagship podcast, MHRT Podcasts, on Thursday at 7:654. Also, as always, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. That's with Mundungus, Boggins, Glenn, and Adon, a 6'10" Mexican. This last week, they had Ryan Edwards on the show. I can't remember if they have somebody big coming up this week, but do not miss it, guys. We have a lot of fun on all of our shows. We have a lot of fun, good talk, and as always, Broncos. That's what it comes down to. It's about the Broncos. All right. We love you guys, and Cam, I do need to ask you to do one thing with us because we've had everybody doing it with us. You see it there at the bottom, and you saw it at the beginning of the show before the video, or at the end of our intro video, right?
Cameron, you look like you already know what this is.
Do you know this?
I do.
How do you know this?
I feel like I'm reading this bottom left hashtag over here, and I'm getting prepped and ready for it.
So how do you know what this is?
Yeah,
Cameron, how do you know what this is?
Did you see this somewhere else already?
We saw it in the beginning. That's right.
So that's
Oh yeah,
All
the
right.
intro. God damn
So
it.
so I'm gonna say it as like, hey, cursing. This is a jerk. No cursing on this show.
Well,
all right.
Cameron got me all.
I don't care. I don't care. You better go like open your Bible and say some penance after
I'm
this.
sorry.
You understand?
Focus at the Mile High
Okay.
Prophet.
That's right. You better go back. You better go kiss the feet of the Mile High Prophet. That being said, all right. So the Mile High Five. We've always seen people doing stuff like this.
Yes.
But the Mile High Five itself, the way that we do it here, where we shout Mile High Five and clap above our head, began here on Nothing Rhymes. It started here. My goal thus far, and it's continuing, I will not rest until, I can't remember his name, announces over the PA system at Empower Field, Mile High Five, and the entire crowd goes above their heads. Okay. That is my goal. So we started here, and we're going to do it, all right? So it's 3 counts, Mile High Five, and on the 4th count, you clap as high above your head as you can, brother.
All right.
And that's how we will end our show today. We thank you all for joining us. We love you. We cannot wait to see you next week. Do not miss our other shows on Tuesday and Thursday. And here we go. Mile High Five. Yes.
Booyah.
All right. We are out at our W crew. Thank you, Broncos country. Good night.